Good evening once again. Until recently, I was not aware that there was a BBC production of Dracula presented as Count Dracula in 1977, done as a movie. I found out about it by watching another video on YouTube about someone who was trying to evaluate what was the closest adaptation to Bram Stoker's novel. And by a number of different counts, authenticity, setting, specific scenes that took place in the book, atmosphere, etc., it was determined that this actually was the closest adaptation on film of the original novel. It's not 100% accurate. There are a couple of things that are different, particularly the manner of Dracula's death. He was not staked in the original novel. He's actually just killed by two rather ordinary knives. One person stabs him in the chest, and the other one, Jonathan Harker, stabs him in the chest, and his Arthur Holmwood, his brother-in-law, slits his throat, and he just dies. There's no puff. He doesn't turn into a bat or anything like that of the dramatic films. But I understand that. That's not very interesting. And one film actually did have that, but it was not this one. I don't remember which one it was, but it was, I believe, one of the European productions had that death in it. But aside from that, and a few other things, there's kind of a silly scene about communion wafers. Well, it's silly, but I get the point that they're trying to make, that it didn't have to be holy water or a crucifix all the time. It could be any symbol of good. And the wafers were a symbol of good, so they couldn't cross a line if they sprinkled the broken up wafers or they couldn't cross into a magic circle that was sprinkled with the broken up wafers because, again, there's a symbol of good they can't cross. So I thought that was okay. It stars Louis Jourdan as Dracula, and this was not the first time that I'd seen Louis Jourdan as Dracula, and I'll explain that in a moment. Frank Finlay plays Professor Von Helsing. Susan Penhaligon, plays Lucy Westerna. Judy Balker played Wilhelmina Westerna, or Mina, who's her sister. Mark Burns plays Dr. John Seward. Jack Shepard plays Renfield. And Richard Banks plays Quincy Holmes. That's a combination of two characters. There was a character named Quincy Holmes, I think, and there was Arthur Holmwood. And for some reason, they combined them into one character. The guy who played him was named Richard Barnes, and apparently he's English, but he tried to put on a Texas accent, and it sounds terrible. It's like the worst fake Southern accent you've ever heard in your life. Obvious that he's not from the South, but that's something that you can dismiss because he's sort of a minor character until the last act. As I said, it follows. Oh, and I forgot. There's the Dracula's brides are played by three very beautiful women, who are Sue Vanner, Susie Hickfield, and Belinda. I don't know how to pronounce this. Muljik are Dracula's three brides, and they're quite good. Although they never they do speak, but they only have like a few lines in the opening act when they try to seduce Jonathan Harker. Like I said, it follows the book pretty much to the letter, and I'm not going to go over the whole book, the whole plot for you. You just have to watch it and take my word for it. I just noted some things that I particularly thought were good. The costumes, the set decoration, the set dressing were all done. The designer was Michael Young, and he did a really good job. Philip Saville directed it, and it was written by Gerard Savory from, of course, the novel by Bram Stoker. I know some interesting things. There's in this basement of Carfax Abbey where he has set up himself in London. Or no, it's the basement of Castle Dracula. I'm sorry, in the first scenes. He passes a Jonathan Harker who is sort of trapped. And there passes a Baphomet statue. I thought that was kind of cool. Baphomet was a demon, basically. Demonic figure, actually a god that actually has nothing to do with Satanism, but he was sort of associated with it in some ways. He has the head of a goat and the body of a human being. It features the thing in the book of Dracula actually climbing down a wall, and Jonathan Harker sees this, and it kind of drives him mad. That's from the book as well, and that I thought was pretty well done, that effect. A lot of the photographic effects are very noted are hokey and sort of psychedelic looking, but they look a little bit fakey in today's terms. They did a lot of solarization. That's where they reverse the colors in a color print, and it looks kind of corny by today's standards. And sound loops and doing weird eerie music all seems a little bit hokey by today's standards. Um, they noticed they included the shipwreck of the Demeter off the English coast, and the captain chained to the wheel is found dead. Rats escaped from the ship, which again was not too uncommon, given that any ship had rats on it. I noticed that there's a very wild depiction of Lucy as a vampire, which is just this wild, crazy, insane creature. It's very scary, and the actress Susan Ben-Haglion did a really good job in that scene. She really comes off as very frightening and almost otherworldly, and I think that was the whole point. What else do I make? Whenever Dracula is approaching, this is in the Carfax, in the London section of the story, the gas lights in the house turn red. I thought that was kind of interesting. That was a good special effect, I thought. Just a few other things I noted, and like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole story. You know what happens. Dracula comes to London, and he starts, creating vampires. He turns Lucy into a vampire, and then she has to be killed, and then he's trying to turn Mina into a vampire. One scene that's in the movie, and it's also in the later Dracula films, is when he uses his fingernail and slits open his chest and makes Mina drink his blood, because that will transfer his power into her. He always says, Dracula says, the blood is the life, and the blood of a vampire will turn her into a vampire more rapidly than merely being bitten in the neck, or the sexual seduction part of that. Somebody who was a critic of this film said that they thought that Louis Jourdan played a little bit too much the lover and a little bit too little the monster. But he did have some interesting scenes, and I noted in one of them that he can stand in complete sunshine, and he was not afraid of a crucifix. Now, those things were added later in the later films. They are not part of Stoker's novel. He didn't say anything about Dracula being afraid of a crucifix or being afraid to walk around in sunshine. That was added in later films. The bit about him having to sleep in his own earth is from the movie, and the destruction of his earth is what makes it possible to kill him, because he only has one place left, and that's where they corner him. And in the movie, they stake him. Van Helsing stakes him, and he doesn't disintegrate or turn to dust. He just sort of turns into a gaseous cloud, and the cloud dissipates, and that's it. He's gone, or is he? We don't really know. I thought it was good. I thought it was well done. Like I said, I thought the set direction, a little attention to details, like Dracula's, that he has hair on the palms of his hands, which was in the book too, and his fingernails are very long and sort of sharp. Lucy, I learned that in one story, before she becomes a vampire, can see her reflection in the mirror, but she's starting to grow fangs, so she's starting to become vampiress. I thought that was kind of good. I know that the staking, and by that I mean the staking of Lucy, the first vampire we saw at Sea Stake, is rather brutal and kind of gory. Not as gory as the Hammer films, where they actually showed you the ribs exploding and that kind of thing. But there was a lot of blood, and it was really, he had to hit the stake several times, which is fairly accurate, because you got to go through bone and sinew, and it's not as easy as it looks in the movies, I would imagine. Again, very good interpretation. Again, the closest, even closer than Bram Stoker's Dracula to the original novel. Of all and they analyzed 12 different films, and this one had the most points that united it with Bram Stoker's novel. So if you haven't seen it, Count Dracula from the BBC is available for free on YouTube, and it's quite well worth watching. I should note it's very long. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes and 24 seconds. So that's quite a long movie, but it encompasses the entire Dracula story.